Hey there, everybody. Getting ready to go here. Incense are lit, cards are out, and yeah. So, for those of you just tuning in, we're going to get started on this reading here. I've got our cards. The Energy and the Wild Unknown Tarot again. Usually show these off. We have the Energy Oracle deck, and then we have the Wild Unknown Tarot here that we're using. Both of these are really good, and you'll find that if you guys get yourself a copy of the same deck, actually pretty good. Pretty good decks. I like them. The Wild Unknown can be a little bit tricky to read, but if you can understand Hannibal, if you can understand Hannibal the Cannibal, Animal Tarot, then you're good. Animal Symbology is what I was going to say. Kind of got mixed up right in the middle there, though. So let's start off this part with a little. Let's start off with the spiritual reading. Then we're going to do finance. Then we'll do love singles, and then we'll do love couples. Okay. So we'll start off with. Hey there, Christy. We'll start off with love, or sorry, not love. We'll start off with spiritual, and then financial, and then love singles and love couples. And then after that, I will be taking questions. So hopefully you guys don't mind for the questions. I'm waiting for the questions. I want to do the energy for the day readings, and this is for October 21st, so tomorrow. Okay. Let's shuffle these up. Hopefully everyone had a good day so far. Let's do one more shuffle here. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up. I'm already getting a thumbs up. Always love that. Okay. Let's do one more shuffle. And then let's go straight into doing this right here. Let's do two more shuffles of these ones. I know I shuffled them a little bit more, but spiritual reading for October 21st. What do we need to know? Okay. So kind of similar to what we had, a little similar to what we had yesterday, but this time, this is for the spiritual part, I'm seeing us focusing more on, okay, I'll show you guys the cards here in just a second. Okay, so what we have here is we have the 7th chakra, Archangel Uriel, okay. This chakra here is about the crown chakra. This is connecting to the cosmic energy, right? So that's the spiritual nature of this reading, and that's what we're talking about is the spiritual nature. So what we have after that is woman holding a heart in reverse. And when I see this card, to me this could be using what we've had happen in the past, possibly in a relationship, using that as a catalyst going forward, right? Using that as a way to transform the energies moving forward. I also get the Strength card, okay, in reverse. Then I get the 5 of Swords in reverse, okay, and I'll mention what that means here in a second. And then I get the 3 of Cups in reverse. So when I see this, we're at a pivotal point in our spiritual evolution where I feel like it's going to be very important for us to stay strong, right? But we could also slip up during this time too, and that's okay. If we slip up, that's fine. Just going to move that down a little bit. So if we slip up, that's okay, that's fine. But moving into this kind of spiritual awareness, it takes patience and it takes gentleness, like we've talked about on the channel quite a few times. We also get the 5 of Swords in reverse, like I was saying. So this to me is normally, I view this as kind of a stressful, kind of an anxious card. You'll see it's a worm that's being split in half. And these guys, I think, can regrow their limbs after they're split. And so to me, when I see this, it's like going through a situation that's very difficult and very hard. But that doesn't mean that it's not without its rewards at the end. I feel like this can be a difficult process for the um, spiritually gifted, I guess would be the way to put it. And then when I get the Three of Cups in reverse, this card is talking about being able to have a sense of community, or being able to have a sense of understanding from other people. When it's in reverse, it could be feeling misunderstood by other people. It could be just being kind of difficult to emotionally express yourself around other people. I feel like, though, this is a passing thing. When I see most of these cards are in reverse, to me that means that they will pass. It's just showing that right now we're kind of in the thick of it. So in the spiritual sense of evolution, it could be dark night of the soul kind of energy. But the thing with the dark night of the soul is that there's always a dawn, right? There's always a new dawn. There's always a new day, getting ready to move forth with that. So honestly, I think it's a good reading. I think the energies here are really good. We just have to stay positive during this. I'm going to adjust this one more time. There we go. A little bit better. So yeah. So now we'll move on to the financial part of this reading here. And let me get ready. Let's shuffle these cards up here. And then we'll go into the next part. So this next part is going to be financial, and that's going to be the part where we're going to be looking at, obviously, finances, investments, job opportunities, things like that. So okay. Let's do this. This. Let's shuffle these ones up real quick. Okay, so financial spread, or financial reading, same thing. Let's see what we get here. So for finances for October 21st, 2020, okay. Okay, then we get these ones, this one, and this one. Very interesting. Okay, so for the other part of this reading here, for the energy side, we get first chakra archangel in reverse, and we get all tied up in reverse. So when I see all tied up in reverse, that's being free, right? That's more of a sense of freedom, allowing ourselves to be free. When I get first chakra archangel Michael, though, right here, this card, when I see that in reverse, it's okay. It's okay, Christy. Don't worry about it. If it's meant to be, it'll happen. If you want to do the super chat. If not, that's okay too. Just enjoy the show while you can, and don't stress too much about that. Okay, so then we have the Mother of Swords here, the Hierophant in reverse, and the Death card. So this, to me, I'm going to read it like this. So financially speaking, this could be... That's good. Spiritual growth is always good. The first chakra, though, when I see this card in reverse, it's working on building a stable foundation, right? So the first chakra is about stability, it's about structure, it's the foundational energy. If that's in reverse, that means that things have been shifted on its head, so to speak. So in the financial part of whatever we're doing, this could be, like I've said before, investments falling through. This could be job opportunities not coming up as often as you would like. This could be all of that kind of energy where it's just like roadblock after roadblock in the financial way. It's just feeling like there's not a way for you to be on stable ground in the finance department at this point in time, right? So October 21st is going to be kind of a challenge for some people, right? But it's also Mercury in retrograde. So you want to take any of your complaints there, wherever the complaint box is, just slip in a piece of paper and say that you don't like it. And I'm sure Mercury will be like, okay, I get it. And it'll leave. It leaves eventually, but it'll leave a little quicker, hopefully, if we all complain about it. All right, so we get the Mother of Swords here. Oop. Also for the finances. And this, to me, with the Hierophant in reverse and with the Death card in reverse, this is wanting to do things our own way. Hey, Denise. A little tired, but other than that, I'm doing good. How are you doing? But with the Mother of Swords, the Hierophant in reverse, and Death in reverse, this is definitely a feeling of starting out on a new path that's very untraditional. So it's not something that people are used to seeing. I always use spiritual practices with this because you guys are watching a spiritual reading. So, or this is the financial part of the reading, but I use this as a spiritual way because when I see the Hierophant in reverse, it's doing things in an untraditional way. It's doing things that aren't normally done. It's going down the path less traveled. So when that happens, it's not like you have an instruction book necessarily. There are pioneers, there are people that lead us to where we're at, but eventually we're kind of swimming in uncharted waters because we're trying to do something unique. So that's what I see this as. When I see Death in reverse, okay, this is resisting change. To me, when I see that, it's resisting change. It's focusing on not allowing ourselves to encompass change. We're being a little more rigid. So we're doing something we've never done before, but we're also thinking that we're the only ones that can do it. And I feel like advice could be threatening at this point in time. Things could maybe be and that's okay. As I'm doing these, Christy, some of these will apply, some of these won't. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't, because this is for everybody watching. So when it's more people, it can be a little more generalized. When it's just me and you, it would be more specific, right? So this is like the shotgun approach to covering topics. But this is definitely focusing in the way of allowing the energies to not let us just stay in one place, like not let us get trapped, so to speak. So the Death card in reverse is something where we need to allow ourselves the ability to evolve. Otherwise, we're basically just dead. Because the Death card upright is actually a really good card. It just means change. Kind of discarding what was there before and focusing on building something else up. And the Death card's, closer to the Tower card as well. And to me, they're pretty similar energies. But yeah, Death card is good. When it's in reverse, it just means that there's a block to change. There's a block to evolution. Yes, remote learning. Yeah, but this is something where we're more focused on allowing ourselves to be and attract what we want to attract. So in this approach here, okay, if it's a spiritual thing, if it's anything like that, read up on it, learn about it, take other people's advice, and don't feel like you're in it alone. Books are a very good way to be close to a topic you care about. We tend to be bombarded with social media and things that we don't necessarily resonate with. But in our free time, when we're learning and we have books and we have YouTube, we want to focus on the things we want to focus on, we can grow in that way, right? So that's what I'm seeing there for the financial part. So let's move on to love singles and then love couples and go from there. Or we could let's do love couples first, and then we'll do love singles. We'll go from there. Shuffle those here. Probably would help if I had all the cards before I shuffle. But definitely right now is this energy is all about learning. So whatever you want to learn, unless you're tired, and I'm tired today, but whatever you want to learn, you should be able to learn, I feel like, a little bit easier. Things feel like they're coming a little bit easier. I don't feel like I'm in a thick fog anymore, so it's feeling a little more clear with the energy, at least for me. Hopefully it is for you guys as well. Okay, so what do the couples need to know about for their relationships? What are things going on for couples in their relationships? For this energy that will resonate for October 21st. Okay, now let's shuffle these ones. I only have to shuffle 3 more decks, and then reshuffle all 5, and then we can start. Feels like that sometimes. 2 decks is kind of a lot sometimes. All right, that's good. I've got our first card, and I will show you here in just a second. Awesome, Denise. That's the way to be. You always want to be learning new things. You always want to be focusing on letting ourselves learn new things, because that helps the old brain there. We have the default mode network, right? And that's kind of like the way our brain travels in certain ways. Like, for instance, if we're always doing the same thing each and every day, our brain has a way of connecting point A and point B really fast, and it's called the default mode network. Imagine, or DMN, imagine a sled going down a snowy hill. There's no lines in the hill, right? There's no lines. But when the sled goes down the hill, in the snow, it creates a trail, it creates a track. And every other time you try and go down that same slope, it's going to follow into those tracks. It's going to flow down that way. When we expand our brains, we make new pathways. It actually makes it so that we're going to age better, and we're going to have a better life, because we're engaged in our own mind. We're engaged in our own learning experience. So it's actually really good to keep learning, to never stop learning. That's hard sometimes, because it gets, well, it's comfortable to be comfortable, right? Okay, so I'll draw one more tarot, and then I'll look at some energy cards here. Okay, let's see what we have for the... This is interesting here. So I get the 10 of Cups in the tarot, in the tarot. I get the 10 of Cups for the tarot side, right? And then I get the 3 of Pentacles in reverse, and then I get the 10 of Wands. So when I look at these 3 cards together, I'm seeing emotional fulfillment. I'm seeing maybe there could be a lack of combined action in the relationship. Maybe you could have a partner that's sick, or there could be something going on where someone's not necessarily pulling their full weight. But then I also see a burden being relieved or lifted. So I feel like we're getting help in a certain way, where the person is starting to, maybe they're starting to see our point of view, maybe communication is starting to come through a little bit, and maybe there's more cooperation happening between the two of you. And I feel like this is really good. Okay, because then I get this. I get all tied up in reverse. Okay, we just had this a second ago. All tied up in reverse, and then I get the action card here. So when I see all tied up in reverse, we're looking at freeing energy, and when I see the action card, to me that says we're getting ready to start something new with our partner. Like start something new in the way that I feel like this could be a new way of communicating, a more beneficial way of communicating, maybe talking about issues in a way of bringing things to light, right? And so that's a very good thing. So for those in a relationship, in a good relationship, in a good place in a relationship, tomorrow we'll have a challenge of things not being exactly what you would want in your partner. But also there would be the benefit of knowing that that person is there for you, even if they're not perfect in the terms that we're thinking of. They're there for you, and they are trying their hardest and their best. And to me, that's even better than having a perfect partner, because you can see that someone's putting in the effort and they're willing to change and meet you halfway. So that's the energy I'm reading there. So now we'll move into the singles in the love department and go into that. Okay, let's see what we got for singles for love. And then after that, we can go into questions. Shuffle these. So what do singles for love need to learn? No. do one more shuffle. Okay, and let's go here. Let's do another shuffle. Okay. This is for singles. Let's see what we get. And let's see what we get on this side. Okay, so this to me, for the singles out there, this is Healer of the Ages, and this is Attachment in reverse. Okay. And then we get Father of Swords. We get the World card in reverse. And we get the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. So how I would read this is pretty simple. So Healer of the Ages, I feel like, is you focusing on healing the self, okay? Because we're releasing attachment. When attachment's in reverse, I feel like we're releasing things that no longer serve us, right? And this could be, you could either be an air sign and you're taking control and you're looking at things logically, or you could be releasing an air sign, okay? So Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius in that kind of energy. When I get the World in reverse, I feel like there's thoughts here where you shouldn't release something and move into something new in relationships. But then there's another thought of like, well, I have to. But then I get the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. So ultimately, I think you'll make the decision to allow your own self to grow from the relationship. Instead of thinking in the same way that you've been thinking, I feel like there's a new way of looking at it where we're taking back our power from the relationship that was not serving us. And instead of looking at that relationship and hoping and wishing it would be something else, we're realizing it for what it is, and then we're moving into a new way of thinking and being that allows us to grow. Okay, so that's what I'm getting for the singles out there. That's a really good energy to have. But in order for us, and I'll draw another card here for that, in order for us to focus on this energy and letting this energy in, we need this, okay? This is third chakra, Archangel Chamuel, I don't know how you say it. But when I look at this card, this is willpower right here. So it goes like this. The story of the chakras goes a little something like this. The first chakra is Earth, right? Earth is stability, it's foundational, it's there to help us establish structure. And this generally happens in our very, very, very young baby lives. Little tiny babies, that kind of thing. And that's when this chakra is activating, okay? Generally, if there's any issues here, there was psychological trauma that happened when the person was this age. I can't remember the ages exactly, but this is kind of where we're coming from. So then there's the second chakra, right? The second chakra is about movement, where the first chakra was about structure and stability. The second chakra is about movement. So if you imagine the first chakra is earth, right? The second chakra is water. And together it creates like you could imagine a mudslide, you could imagine whatever you want, but those two chakras create movement, okay? So the second chakra is creative energy and it's creative expression. This generally happens early on in life for people. Again, we're looking at like toddler energy at that point. I think that's when you're sort of challenging the world, you're, putting things in your mouth, you're tasting things, you're finding out what the world is all about, okay? The third chakra, though, now this is an interesting one. The third chakra is about willpower. And I'll also say this, the second chakra that we were talking about, the one that's with movement, the one with movement is about making choices as well, okay? The third chakra, the solar plexus chakra, is willpower. So now we're making choices from the second chakra, but the third chakra is the willpower. It's the ability to stay with the choices we have made. Willpower and motivation are very, very similar. And you have that tied in, okay? It's also the chakra of fire. And this chakra here is about lighting that fire within you. Mediums use the solar plexus chakra to communicate with spirits. There's a lot of energy in the solar plexus. Now, the fourth chakra is the heart chakra, right? The heart chakra is about letting go. So the willpower chakra, the third chakra, is about taking what's yours, driving yourself with it. The fourth chakra is about letting go. because you can't hold on to love. The tighter you hold on to love, it's not going to happen. We have to let go. That's what the fourth chakra is all about. Love shouldn't be conditional, and love shouldn't have conditions. Those two things, you cannot have conditional love in a way where it's positive and it's beneficial to someone, because it says if you don't meet my expectations, then you don't get the reward of love, and love shouldn't be a reward. Love should be freely given. Okay, so where I was going with this, though, is that for the singles here to be in an environment that's beneficial, you guys need to have that willpower and that desire to want to change and to take back your own energy, right? So that's what we're focusing on. And you guys can do it, but you have to realize that it's a journey of discovery. And sometimes that journey of discovery means discovering self-boundaries. It means discovering the things we don't like so that we can understand what we do and we don't like, the way we want to be treated, the way we don't want to be treated. And sometimes there's relationships, and this is my ultimate belief. Sometimes there's relationships that the only thing they are there to teach us is what we don't want in a future relationship. And sometimes people get hung up on that, and they get stuck in that way of thinking that it was meant to leave them broken and shattered forever, and it's not. It's meant to be a stepping stone. Again, though, I understand it's difficult, it's hard, but I'm letting you know that we can take that energy back and we can transform with that energy. So anyway, that's what I'm seeing for the love singles reading. Went off on a little bit of a tangent there. The chakras are interesting to me, so I will talk about them if I can get a shot to do so. Okay. So if there's any questions, we can go for those. We can shoot for those, or I can just keep drawing cards here, or we can just keep talking. It's always good. Either way. Okay. Give me 1 second, you guys. Just looking at something real quick. Hold on. Okay. Sorry about that. Just had to do a quick message really quick. Okay. So moving into the question part of this, we can focus on some spiritually related questions. Because of course the super chat is where we can get more detailed with the questions, but if there's a general group question about something spiritual, if I can help answer that, that's great. If I can't, then, you know, something we can learn from. I hopefully would be able to have at least some guidance, but again, I don't know everything, so we can go from there. But I will start drawing cards. This will just be focusing the general energy of the day for October 30th. Because when you look at it in sections, right, that's the day in sections. When we look at the overall energy for the day of October 21st, that's focusing more on, well, the overall energy. It doesn't have a classification. It's just sort of out there. So I'll shuffle this one more time. We'll look at the overall energy for October 21st of 2020. So what's interesting is the angel numbers to me. Yes, I get them frequently. Generally before something happens, right? Like I get the numbers 444 a lot. That seems to happen. Lately, I was at the store the other day and saw it twice. Once when we were checking out, our tax came to $4.44. But then I was watching another guy scan his stuff because I had to come back into the store and buy stuff. And for a second, it was $4.44. The items he was scanning at the screen sort of froze a teeny bit, and so it stuck on that number. Anyway, Spirit wanted me to see fours. So to me, that's a very good, indication of something that's about to happen. And usually four is about structure. Um, so starting something new, starting a new structure. For me, I'm taking it as moving forward in my mediumship, like with my class. But it could also be the start of another structure as well. I've got a few other ideas for things I'm planning to do. So, but for people, yeah, I believe in angel numbers for sure. I don't know if I'd call them angel numbers. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that specifically, but I would just say like synchronicities, synchronistic numbers. Does that make sense? Either way is good, but that's just how I prefer to look at it. And that's interesting here because then I also get this, and I'll show you. So I get the Four of Wands, okay, which is interesting because that literally is structure. Numerology is good. And that's not something I know a ton about. I know there's numbers involved. Yeah, that's about it. That's about all I know. No, I know that there can be. I know there's one, or let's see, no, that's not one. I mean, that is. You have 11s and 22s. Then you have 1, 2, 3, all the way up until 9. I know that part. 11s are teachers. 22s are healers, if I can remember. Or they have attributes of all the other numbers. It's been a while since I've looked into it. But, so we have Four of Wands, Two of Pentacles, and the Three of Cups, okay? So Four of Wands is structure, so this is for tomorrow's energy, October 21st. Then we have the Two of Pentacles, okay? Then we get the Three of Cups. All right, so when I see these cards right here, first off, it's telling a story. I'm seeing 2, 3, 4, right? So I feel like we're going to be looking at making a decision on whether to do, I'm feeling like a benefit. I'm feeling like it could be a charity thing. I'm feeling like we're going to be asked to do something kind of last minute. And I feel like that's going to put us into a little bit of a weird headspace because I get the Sun in reverse and I get literally the card we were talking about before, the third Chakra, Angel card in reverse. So feeling like there's not enough energy in the day, not enough willpower for us moving forward. And like I said, this will be for some of you, but I feel like it's a call to action that we don't feel like we're ready for. I think we'll ace it because all these tarot cards are upright, but I feel like internally it will make us squirm and feel uncomfortable for a minute. So be on the lookout for unexpected situations or something that makes you feel uncomfortable, a little out of the norm for tomorrow. It won't be drastic. I don't think it'll be a huge change, but it'll be something that you'll look at and you'll be like, that's incredibly annoying. Do I really have to do this? And you'll be able to get through it and be fine. So that's what I'm seeing there. Let me do this here. Shuffle these cards back. Okay. All right, so if there's any other questions, again, we can go into that, or I can just talk at you for like a good hour. You think of what we can talk about here? Let's see, what's like a good book? There's a couple good books on psychic development, which is really important for developing mediumship. You want to master one before you go into the other completely. Not completely, but you want to be fairly sufficient at one before we get into the other one, because the psychic ability, so you have intuition, right? Then you have psychic ability, which is taking that intuition and applying it. You're taking that intuition and you're actionizing it, you're using it, right? And the imagination actually plays an important part in that. That's why kids are naturally more psychic, is because they can use the imagination. They haven't been filtered in any way. So the imagination is actually a really good tool. Awesome. Okay, I'm glad you're liking this, Denise. Um, but so when we're focusing on, I'm trying to think, where was I? It's one of those tired days. So I'm trying to focus here. So yeah, the imagination is important for developing, um, and I can eventually do something there. I'm working on something where we can use certain ways to get information from the spirit world, but it's confusing to explain, and I honestly don't have the energy for it today. But one of these days I will talk about it. It's a little more of an advanced concept, but it's something I've been working on. But the imagination is a key part. That's why kids are more naturally psychic. So that's something we can look at moving forward, is that when our imagination and our childlike nature starts coming back, psychic ability is going to be a lot easier to do. For instance, getting up, having fun, and taking mediumship. I mean, take mediumship seriously as a sacred position, of course, but also look at it in a way that's fun, because fun, love, laughter, all that uh, puts up a better aura of mediumship energy. It puts up an aura for the spirits that they can work with. If we're very closed off and we're very tight and we're very like this, spirit can't really get in, or spirit comes in through the cracks, and it's very mixed kind of information. But when we're more open, it's a lot easier for spirit to speak to us, because we're more, we're more in that zone of concentration, so to speak. Um, let's see, what was I going to say there? When we're building up mediumship, to the important thing, at least for me, starting out, when I'm starting to build it up, is we take the psychic ability and we amp it up, right? That's the sitting in the power. You have to have the power in order to access the mediumship. And the power is simply going from the conscious mind, how I'm talking to you right now and how you guys are listening, more than likely. Then we have the subconscious mind, right? And the subconscious mind talks about the psychic abilities of, like, your intuition, looking at symbols, being able to decode the symbols. That's the subconscious. But then we take it one step further and we go into the superconscious mind. The superconscious mind is that spirit plane. That's where we can access information. And I'm pretty sure that's where the Akashic records lie. So we go from conscious, subconscious to superconscious, right? And when we do that, we're empowering ourselves along each step. And again, that's something we can go into a little later on, but the superconscious is where all of the information is. And I feel like that's where time ceases to exist, right? That's like where there's no time anymore. The subconscious, the consciousness of the human being, is incredible, and it's interesting. The subconscious is, I feel like it's the barrier to the superconscious. We call it the subconscious because it's not conscious to us, it's not known, right? But that's where the psychic abilities lie. The more we learn to integrate ourselves, the more we learn to check ourselves and work on bad habits, and work on how we are with other people and with ourselves, the more we can take that and move forward in a positive direction. So we take these things we've been learning and ways we've been developing our soul, our character over time, and then we get, eventually, the job is to, in my opinion, it's to mostly dissolve the link between the conscious and the subconscious. Eventually, we know everything that's going on inside of us to a degree that's not maddening, and it makes it so that we can slip in and out of these states a lot more willingly, a lot more readily. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, that's, to me, that's what it's all about, and the way we foster that kind of energy. And I would almost want to do a course. I'm not a psychologist, but I would almost want to do a course that talks about mediumship and talks about psychic ability. But at first, I'd want to focus on the psychic part of it. I'd want to build up a psychic part with the psychology part, and make it so that there's a foundation of psychology first, and then there's the the psychic part, and then there's the mediumship part. And I'd want to come at it from those angles, because that seems to me like the best way to have a foundation is to focus on the psychology first. Why do we want to do mediumship? Why do we want to do anything? With certain skills, it's okay to reach for fame and fortune, but with mediumship, especially, that's not something we're striving for. With mediumship, it's to be of service, and that's something that psychologically, if we haven't worked on certain parts of ourselves, we could want to do mediumship to be famous or to make an incredible amount of money, which money isn't bad. Money's not the bad part here. The fact that we want to be famous and renowned, that can be an ego trap where we do a session and someone says, "Oh, you were so good," and we start getting a big head about it. It's good to get compliments. It's good to have that kind of positive energy, but eventually we start becoming very rigid in our ways of viewing things, very rigid in our world, in our own world, and it makes it hard for us moving forward. The ego kind of traps us in that way of thinking of that the medium is nothing more than the messenger. The medium is not the message. So to me, if you get famous and you're a really good medium, that's great. If it comes naturally and if you actually are very gifted, that's really cool. But for most of us, it's going to be kind of working more or less in the mundane and kind of the shadowy way. And to me, that's good. We're not going to have a renown. We're not going to have that. And for me personally, when I was younger, I liked the attention. I did. That was something that I did for the wrong reasons, and my abilities got locked up for about 5 years. When I was 17 up until I was about 22, around that, my abilities got locked up, and when that happened, it forced me to reevaluate things. And the reason they got locked up is because I was becoming a little bit of a douche. Okay, believe it or not, yes, a little bit. I was getting cocky. I was getting arrogant. But that's something you go through when you're younger, and that's something that I was learning at the time. And I don't look at it in necessarily a bad way. I look at it as a learning experience. If I could have done things differently, I would have. But I think it's Maya Angelou, or Angelou, I don't know how you say her name, that says, when you know better, do better. And so that's kind of the philosophy I live by. But so if we're focused on just developing as a medium, it's important to check the ego. It's important to check that at the door and allow the message to be just that, the message. And all of this comes with practice. Every single part of this is practice. For instance, the medium, right? And this is so interesting. The fact that some mediums can get an ego, and I'm not going to name drop. I'm not going to do anything like that because that's not what it's about. But some mediums can get an ego, right? And what's interesting about that is their gift literally doesn't work unless other people and spirit are involved. And the more ego we become, the harder it is to get messages. So eventually that just fizzles out, at least in my opinion. So to me, that's kind of funny. And psychic abilities in themselves are meant to be used for other people. And again, my opinion. We can have the benefits of the psychic abilities, but generally it's for other people to sort of enjoy, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's something that I feel like is a very important, I don't know if I'd say step necessarily, but something to overcome in the way forward. And eventually you get to a place where you start realizing that people there's a, hold on. Okay, a little bit of a weird energy there. Someone was yelling at someone else. Sorry, okay. But eventually you don't crave that kind of, at least for me personally, I don't crave that kind of praise. It makes me really uncomfortable if people are, it's great if they enjoy the experience or the gift, because that's what it's there for. But if it goes on too long, it just becomes very uncomfortable. And it's interesting because I went from being younger, I craved that attention, but as I started working through my own psychological issues, and as I started to learn more about psychic ability and building up self confidence and things like that, I started craving that less and less. And now, if I could just have my mediumship and eventually open up a little spiritual shop and have that, then I'd be happy. Just something where I'm making enough money, things are fine, and I'd be content with that. That would be nice. But that's definitely something that, yeah. Psychic message is more from, okay, so let me do it this way. Psychic message is from it's kind of like it's from the environment, or it's from the person's aura, right? And obviously a mediumship message is from spirit. Generally, I feel like it's how we feel. With the psychic message, I don't necessarily feel I don't feel a sensation as strongly with a psychic message, but with a mediumship message, I feel things more strongly, and visuals and things happen faster. I don't know if that's how it is for you, but and generally I'll feel that sense of power when there's a mediumship thing. Like I'll feel a buzzing around my head, or I'll feel something happen. When it's a psychic message, I generally don't feel the little buzzes around my aura and stuff like that. So, and I don't know if that's how you work, Denise, but that's how it's been for me personally. And then to know if it's a message or not, if it quickly flashes into your mind and it's detailed, yeah. And to know if it's your mind or if it's an actual message, if it quickly flashes into your mind and it's a very, very detailed kind of thing, and you weren't thinking of anything even close to that before, it's generally a psychic message, because that's usually how it is. It's like a 0.25 of a second flash, and you see everything, and you can recall details of something that you only saw for a split second. That's generally a psychic message, because you have to take a step back and be like, whoa, that just came into my head. What was that? Whereas thoughts, you feel an organic sense of thought, like a thought pops in, a thought pops out, but it's your own. But with the psychic thought, with the psychic messages coming in, it feels a lot less organic. It feels like that was placed there for me to see, not that I thought of it, right? And generally speaking, when we're connected psychically, we can speak quicker, and we can get a hand on the information. We shouldn't be thinking, we should be acting from a zone of psychic, like boom, boom, boom. But again, we're still learning, we're still growing, and it takes time to practice and learn that ability. So that's something there. I'm not saying you were asking that, Denise, but I was just putting it out there just in case. But yeah, for me, it's generally feeling a sense of energy buzzing, a sense of maybe more in-depth, kind of an emotional reading. I don't feel like from an aura or from a person's story psychically, I don't feel like we're connected emotionally as much. So I feel like with mediumship, we're more connected, and it's more, yeah, you're very welcome, Denise. You're very welcome. But yeah, that's what I'm feeling there. So, um, trying to think here. Yeah, it's just different. It's different depending on how we're developing as psychics or mediums. It's just learning how to tune into a different world. And that's why knowing ourselves emotionally, and I talk about that on the channel all the time, is because to me that's the only way we can move forward as humanity, to gain these psychic abilities and these mediumship abilities, is to know ourselves. And we're not exactly given a manual when we're born on, see page 32 for instructions on how to deal with sadness. It's not like that. Wish it was sometimes. But then again, that's kind of the whole point of being here, is to figure things out for ourselves as much as we can, and see what resonates and what doesn't, because it's fun when there's a breakthrough, and then there's times where it's really difficult. But I feel like that's why we're here, is to just experience things And sometimes we're meant to experience more difficult things, and sometimes we're meant to experience what seems like easier things, but each life has lessons, I feel. I don't think anyone's here on this earth without any lessons to learn, because why would they be here if there were no lessons? I don't think the universe works that way. But yeah, it's just what I'm feeling here. So, let's see. I'm thinking it's just me and you, Denise. So if you have any other questions, we can go into that. Or because I'm going to be, that's another thing I'm going to be doing is there's a lot of teachers out there that teach mediumship, and they charge for it to teach. Or okay, I will charge when I'm teaching mediumship. That's true. But the information, like I want to release videos. I want to release a video series, and I want that to be free. I want the video series to be free. If you want to work with me personally, then that would be, however much. But I would want the video series to be free, talking about how to connect with spirit, how to focus on that kind of energy, and how to build that up, because that to me needs to be out in the public. That needs to be something where if the information is readily available, I feel like more people would get that, and I feel like more people now are waking up and discovering mediumship as a viability, as like a gift. And I feel like there's not enough resources. When I was first learning, the first course I bought, and I paid a ridiculous amount of money, and I got to learn about it, but how much it cost was insane. It was normally $1,000, and that's a lot of money, and that was just one of the courses. I could understand a couple hundred, but $1,000 to learn mediumship, it seems to me like that just seems like so much. That just seems like so much money, and I get that it's a complex topic, but again, that just seems like a lot. But I understand learning with a teacher. You can have the teacher can see where you're struggling, and they can provide advice. And I understand wanting to be paid for that part. I do, because that's what I want to do eventually. But just having the knowledge out there, I don't get that. I don't get why you would charge so much. And be so how would I put that? It just seems like that's out of the reach for so many people, right? That just seems like that's putting people in a position where it would be stressful financially for them, obviously, and I just don't see the point in that. But again, people do their own stuff. But when we're looking at psychic ability, mediumship, or trance mediumship, energy healing, mediumship healing, any of those kind of modalities, it's definitely good to have an intention. Let's see. Hold on. I'm looking here. Let me read that question. Let me pull it up here. They could be trying to connect, but it could also be something where it's just like you have a connection, like you're aware of it. Imagine, if you will, a spider web. Okay, and I use the spider a lot. Okay, spiders are my favorite, but if there's one in my house, they freak me out, of course, but from far away, they're very beautiful. So imagine a spider web, and imagine that you're sitting on a spider web, things are all cool, and you're being a spider and shit, right? But then if someone passes, imagine a raindrop hitting that spider web. There's not a bug in it, but there's a vibration that happens. So I don't necessarily think it could be spirit trying to contact you, but I think more or less it's like something in your energy, something in your resonant frequency was disturbed. There was a passing, there was a release of energy, and I feel like you were feeling that. Does that make sense? I don't think they necessarily want to communicate just right then and there, because that seems, that to me that seems like it could be the case, but more than likely, I feel like it's just like you're picking up on the fact that someone has passed on because they were in your vicinity at some point in your life, maybe as a childhood friend or co-worker or someone you had a relationship with in some way. It's like the strings of fate, the silver cord or whatever. It's like we were connected with them for a while, even if it was only for a brief instance. We had a connection with them, and we felt that connection physically being severed, but spiritually not. But I feel like it creates a ripple, and we get that kind of sensation. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, it's one of those things that, and yeah, it could be. Again, I'm not saying it's not someone trying to contact you, because I don't know for sure. Given the circumstances, it definitely could be. I just feel like, to me personally, when I heard that, I was thinking more along the lines of just feeling the frequency of it. So it's like you're aware that it happened, sure, but I don't necessarily think you're meant to give a message at that point, or you're meant to do anything else. It's just kind of like, oh, and that's kind of what a medium does, is we're a constant observer of, I guess death would be the right way to put it, but I prefer to think of it as we're a constant observer of life after death. The physical world has a way of thinking about death in very negative kind of terms, like it's the end. And really, it's just like we can't see it. We can't see what's there, but it's not the end. It's things continue on. And so that's kind of the job of the medium, too, is to provide evidence of life after death, of course. But yeah, learning how to structure the mediumship, learning how to develop it is very important. Um, And I feel like tarot cards are a really good way to start out in the mediumship field, in the psychic ability field, because the mediumship has archetypes. It has different energies, different ways of the energies communicating and working together. And I feel like it increases our ability to do the one thing right, right. And again, that's not your place unless someone comes to you and is wanting a message. I In my opinion, I feel like unless someone comes to you and is wanting a message, I feel like it's wrong to go up and do what are called attack readings, where you just start talking to someone and take them off guard, and it's just like, well, wait, what? Like, kind of a thing. Um, but yeah, that's something that it's not your place unless someone is wanting it. Um, and then it needs to happen organically from there. Nothing can be forced in the mediumship field, in my opinion, without there being repercussions. Like, and when I say repercussions, I just mean not feeling like we did it the way we should have. It just feels wrong if we, again, the attack readings, something that does not help anybody. And generally, an attack reading is in some way, shape, or form used to stroke a person's own ego, in my opinion. I know because I've done those before, and you don't want to do that. It was years ago, but I will admit to when I've made mistakes like that, and I learned from it, and I'm not going to do that ever again, because what do you gain from that? Best case scenario is you have someone's worldview crash down around them, and then they're scrambling for sanity again, which you don't want. And worst case scenario, you have someone thinking you're a freak, and that doesn't help either. And you're just being invasive for no reason. Um, yeah, it's definitely one of those things that we're working on and we're growing, and that's what I want my channel to be about, is seeing, hopefully watching through me, seeing someone become a more confident medium moving forward. Um, and on that journey, you'll probably see me slip back a few times because it needs to happen. I mean, in order to learn and to truly learn, I have to let go of failure being a bad thing. And I have to look at it as a stepping stone. Every time I fail, I sort of carve another step that I can walk onto my stone pathway. Failure is not the end. It's just another way of beginning, and you kind of have to have thick skin, right? I did a mediumship reading today, and I'm still getting used to that feeling. I'm still getting used to the contact, delivering the message, how to deliver the message, and that's something that I feel like is obviously important to have down. And I'm not charging for these. I'm just doing these and trying to see how I can do practice readings, and that's something that's very I think it's very important moving forward that we allow ourselves to practice, allow ourselves to mess up, and sort of like how young animals like lions, they play with each other constantly when they're kittens, and that's because they're developing their hunting skills. And with mediumships, it's like us playing is us reading each other, and then we can develop our mediumship skills from there. But as long as we approach it in a general vein of like practice, I feel like it takes off a lot of the stress of having to get it right, because hey, it's okay. And even if I'm in a reading where I've been paid before, and I've gotten paid for readings, um, there's a sense of like I'll hear no, and at first that used to be the most shattering thing, but eventually you hear it and you just keep going with the reading, um, because you will get some stuff wrong every now and again, and that's okay. That's fine. That's how it is being human, and being a medium. I mean, we're gonna get stuff wrong, but to move forward and to realize that hearing no is definitely, it's definitely not a bad thing to hear no. We've been conditioned like little snowflakes, and we kind of fall apart. So the cost of the class that I'm doing on Saturday is, it's, let's see, there's going to be like I think 9 people attending, and it's like an all day thing. So they pay $55, I think, and they get lunch included with that, and they get kind of an all day thing on top of that. So I won't make a ton of money because there's other teachers there too. I'm just doing it for like the class experience, but for each person it's about 55, and then I'm doing an hour class, and then someone before that. Then there's lunch before that, and then there's another class, there's another class, there's another class, and then there's like a closing ceremony. So it's kind of like we're all divvying up whatever we get at the end, doing it that way. So it's like a day of they're calling it the soul shift. So it's like a day of just connecting, that kind of thing, and hopefully finding some people I can resonate with, and sort of build up that teaching, right? Um, and I was talking to one of my mediumship teachers, Colin Bates, who is amazing. I really like him, and he was helping me with the class. Very nice person. And even though I'm not a certified, trained Arthur Findlay College medium in any way whatsoever, I feel like it's important for this town to have some sense of that. I didn't have that in this town growing up, and I feel like in this, where I live, I feel like it's a good place to start. I feel like if I can, even if one person resonates, or even if they don't this first time, that's okay. But if I can get that, I feel like that's the best thing moving forward. So, yeah, eventually I'll be doing my own classes and not be doing this kind of other people teaching as well. But I feel like it's good because it's giving people lots of different experiences. So, about 55 to answer your question. Long and short of it, about $55 for the class, for everything, and you get like 5 classes. So if you did the math, it'd be like $11 per class, which is pretty good, honestly. It's much better than anything you get online, that's for sure. But yeah. So that's something that I feel like moving forward, I'll be sharing some stuff like that on the channel, but it sounds like the next kind of event like that would be in 3 months or so. So I would share this first class, and then I don't know if I'm doing an introductory class again in 3 months because it's such a. Thank you, Denise. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm just trying to focus on that and obviously the personal classes are going to be something that's more like you can get your questions answered, you can get things actual problems that you're having in the moment, we can work on those and how to connect better and things like that. That's the whole point of these classes and connection. So I feel like honestly that's going to be good when I start offering that. And Denise, whenever you're ready, let me know, and then we can go from there. Again, it's a gentle process. Don't feel like you're rushed in any way because you're not. But whenever you feel like you're ready to take that next step, I would be more than happy to be your teacher on that. So the fact that you trust me is amazing, and I would never take that for granted. So we would go into that and then just go from there. Kind of see where things are we could work on and see where we could take that to the next level, the mediumship to that next level. I'm trying to see if I can get any messages, either psychically or mediumistically, moving forward. But so psychic is generally I'm going to be looking at past, or psychic I can look at past and present and future. Mediumistically, though, you're usually looking at just past or present. Sometimes spirit will give things for the future, sometimes, but it's more rare. So psychic ability, we can look into the future, but all we're doing in that, it's in a quantum way. All we're doing is looking at a possibility. We're not looking at a fact. We're looking at a possible future, because time tends to work in, well, a quantum way. It tends to work in the past affects the future affects the past, the present, all of that stuff. It's all kind of conglomerated into one thing, and then there's different branches and all that. So whenever I do these readings, the same thing. I'm looking at possibilities. I'm looking at pathways. I'm not looking at definitive, oh, absolutely. I may say that, and there may be a high probability of it happening depending on how the cards are looking, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to pass. Your energy at any moment could make it so that you don't get the dream job because you did something really weird or stupid. I'm sorry, but sometimes that happens. Or you don't get what you want in life because something happened to you. Maybe you were injured. Maybe something happened and it sort of slowed things down. Things can happen that are not foreseen, obviously. And the job of a psychic or a medium or a tarot reader isn't to see everything. It's to see, in my opinion, it's to see the biggest possibilities, the ones that have the most likelihood of happening, and then present them in a gentle way. If it's harsher news, present them in a gentle way and try to lift people up, even if it's a message that seems kind of down, right? That to me is what we're here to do as spiritual workers. Yeah, so trying to think here. I'll see what I can get for a message from Spirit, and then we can go from there, okay? So I'm going to focus, get some energy in here, and go for a message from Spirit. So give me a second here. Okay. So moving forward, the message I got was, I'm feeling like it was interesting. I felt like almost a scientific kind of energy that I was connecting with, and it felt like I was combining things. We've talked about inner alchemy on the channel before, but that's definitely something moving forward that we need to focus on. So inner alchemy in simple terms, because we're not going to get into the more complex terms on this channel, because I honestly don't know a ton about the more complex side of it. But the simple terms is, we're taking emotions, we're taking experiences, and we're using those. We can use, in my opinion, we can use spell work, we can use whatever we need to do to focus on taking that energy, channeling it into something more positive. um, but we're generally doing it for us to become better. We're not doing it for other people to get worse, right? That would be the dark side of it. That would be something where we're using our anger or our pain and we're making other people hurt. We're taking our anger and our pain and we're transmuting that into something where we can grow from it, right? And that to me is the spiritual work. That could be some dark night of the soul stuff. That's kind of where that comes from, is um, feeling like it's just very hard to look through that. But to me, that's a good focus to have, is to view it as inner alchemy and not as like an ending point. Obviously, it's something where we're focused more on growing and maintaining that growth and keeping things going. Okay. Oh, awesome. I'm glad. Yeah, she's amazing. She's an awesome person, and I'm subscribing to her. You will not regret it. She's really cool. She's definitely helped me change a lot in life, right? Like, she's helped me in a way, helped me to express myself more emotionally, um, helped me to realize the places where I needed to work, and in a gentle way. And that to me is a good partner to have. But it wasn't always easy. In fact, I'm sure it was very challenging at times, because I was very obstinate to my own self growth, I guess you could say. But she helped me in so many ways to just know that I was a good person, even when I was going through some very very difficult things within myself, some very challenging thoughts, feelings, and that kind of energy. And that's always hard to put myself into that place of like humbling myself and allowing myself to be gently criticized so that I can get better, right? I love when there's criticism and it's constructive, because I can get better. But at first, I always viewed constructive criticism as reasons to get angry at that person. And now I'm seeing that it's actually someone who cares deeply about you and wants you to do better. And I'm seeing that now, because that was very. I'll tell her that. I will tell her that. Um, because that's I thought it was a really good idea. She was really excited to do that one. The ASMR tarot stuff. She was super excited to do that, and she has such a calming voice, and she's very very chill, and I love that. And her video reflects that. So I really liked that. And her energy is like no, it's a no bullshit kind of energy. Um, she says it how it is, and she can't help but say it how it is. And at first I found that very hard to be with, because I was raised in a way that um, we kind of didn't call each other out on the bullshit, right? And so she taught me that, you know, make a promise, you keep it, kind of a thing. If you, it, it's okay to admit when we get things wrong so that we can be better in the future, kind of a thing. And again, she just helped humble me in so many ways moving forward. And that's something that I honestly don't think anyone else could have done for me, because she took the time and the dedication to make sure that I was hearing it and I was learning. And that, you know, a good partner changes things in a person's life forever, and I'll always understand those lessons more than anything else. But yeah. it's always good to have a good partner, a good support system. And other people in my life were supportive as well, but she really brought me to a level of self-awareness in such a positive way that I could change, and I was allowed to change because as a man, right? And yes, I am too, but like as a man, right? You have these ways of being, and it's hard for you to break out of that. Like I probably sound a little bit like I when I'm on these videos, I sound probably a little bit more monotone, a little bit more. I try to keep my energy calm, right? I found out over the last few years that I'm actually a very emotional person and I feel things very deeply. And she told me that it was okay to do that as a man, to allow ourselves to feel or to cry or to express ourselves. The system that we're in now, society, it's very upside down. So to allow ourselves to experience emotion in all of its ways, and to have days where you cry and in front of your partner, or have days where you are expressing yourself. She taught me that it was okay to do that, and without that, I don't think I would have been where I am now, because the mediumship came from understanding that I had emotions first off, and then building up from there. And generally, most mediums, if they're male, they have to have that energy of being calm, and they have to be open. They have to. I think women just get it better. The emotional part of it, I think women just get it better. I really do, because men, we're told from a young age to stuff it all down, and that creates very turbulent men in society, where you know it's just difficult. I think it's just difficult to relay that message, but it's, yeah, definitely something to look at going forward. But um, I feel like once you have that part figured out, once you have the support system, once you have things like that, and some of us don't have a support system, and that's kind of difficult to go through. But I feel like once we have that support, once we have that level of grounding, I feel like that's where we need to be to learn to grow and to feel safe. Growing and doing mediumship and feeling safe, it's kind of goes hand in hand, but we have to tame the chaos of our own lives before we can do that. Hopefully that makes sense, but yeah. But yeah, so I'm thinking this time didn't have a huge turnout this time, and that's okay. Um, but I'm thinking I will turn off for the night, and I'll get ready for tomorrow. And I will say thank you, Denise, and everyone else who tuned in. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow, 4:35 again, and we'll do that, okay? So you're welcome, ZMO. Um, and if you guys are wanting to tune in, so 4:35 p.m. tomorrow is when I do it, Monday through Thursday, and then we can go from there, and we can answer questions. We can do whatever needs to be done, but yeah, we'll definitely do that and talk about psychic ability, talk about tarot, the energies going on there. And I look forward to talking to you guys again, like I said, tomorrow. And I will see you. You're very welcome, Denise. I will see you too. Okay. Bye, guys. Take care and be safe.